Hi, I'll talk to you. Let me save myself first. Thank God, I managed to save myself from the dog. Now, if I ask you a question, what would you do if you see a dog running towards you? You would be like, are you crazy, dude? We'll do exactly the same what you did. We'll run away from the dog. Well, friends, the dog was a stimulus for me, and I responded to it by running away from the dog. Now, if I ask you, where did you learn this action from, that you have to run away from the chasing dog? Did you learn this in school? You'll be like, have you gone nuts? Who learns all this in school? It's all there present in us. It forms an inherent part of us. Exactly, friends. This is what we mean by reflex action. Reflex actions are sudden response to anything which happens in the environment, and in this video we shall talk in detail about these reflex actions. Before we talk about the reflex action, let us first know what are reflex actions. Well, friend, these reflex actions, they are the simplest form of response from the nervous system. These are automatic response to any stimulus to which our body reacts. And let me tell you that the body reacts to these stimulus without our conscious control and without any thinking. And you know why these happen? That is why these reflex actions happen? To protect our body. Let's understand this by a very simple example. What happens when accidentally you touch an iron box, which is hot? You tend to simply retract your hand. This is reflex action. What if you didn't have this reaction in your body? Your finger will get burnt. So friends, these reflex action, they protect our body. Just a minute, I'm coughing, man. Let me tell you that coughing is also a reflex action. And what does this do? Well, coughing clears your air pipe. That is your trachea. Oh my God, what is happening out here? Why is there so much darkness? Somebody please put on the lights. Finally. Oh, you can see the reaction, the response shown by my eyes. This is also a reflex action. It tries to adjust to the light present in the room. So friends, by now it must be crystal clear that what are reflex actions? These actions are sudden and automatic, and they do not need our thinking. They happen without our conscious control, and these actions help to protect our body. Having known some of the reflex actions which we encounter in our daily life, now you must be thinking that how does this reflex action actually happen? Because I said that these actions do not require thinking. Then how can an action take place in a body without thinking, without a conscious control? Hold on, friends. We will answer that very shortly. Let's try to understand the mechanism of reflex action. Let's dissect this in detail. Well, friends, before we understand reflex action, we need to understand some terms, and let us discuss them. So we shall talk about sensory nerves, motor nerves, and the spinal cord. The sensory nerves are those nerves or neurons which take the sensory impulses, which detect the sensory impulses, and these sensory impulses through the sensory nerves reach our brain or the spinal cord. At the same time, the motor nerves are those nerves which take the motor response from the brain or spinal cord, and it reaches the effector. Now, what is an effector? Effector can be a gland or a muscle. When there is a gland, there will be secretion, and when it involves a muscle, there will be contraction or relaxation of the muscle. So now you should understand that when there are sensory impulses, these impulses will go to the brain or spinal cord, and the brain or spinal cord will tell the motor neurons. It will tell the glands, secrete. It will tell the muscles, contract or relax, and this is how the whole system functions. Well, friends, after understanding all these terms, let us now know about the spinal cord. Well, spinal cord is a long tube-like structure that connects the brain with the rest of the body. the spinal cord consists of nerves that carry both the outgoing and the incoming messages, and hence acts as a connecting link between the whole of the body and the brain. Well, friends, what you really need to understand here is that the nerves from the entire body travel to the spinal cord. They form a bundle in the spinal cord, and finally from the spinal cord, they reach the brain. So you can see how important is the spinal cord in the sense that it links the brain with the body. Well, friends, we have understood different terms. We understood sensory neuron, we understood motor neuron, we understood spinal cord. And now let's talk about the mechanism of reflex action. Well, friends, you need to remember that the reflex action follows a particular path which is known as the reflex arc. And we shall talk about the reflex arc in detail. Now just imagine you had any stimulus and there is a generation of sensory impulse. Now these sensory impulses are picked up by the dendrites of the neurons. And from the dendrites, they travel throughout the axon. That is, they travel throughout the length of the sensory neuron. And from the sensory neuron, they reach the spinal cord. As I told you, the spinal cord is the place where the entire information gets processed. Just like the CPU of the computer. Yes, in the spinal cord, the information is getting processed. And from the spinal cord, by means of motor neurons, the information in the form of impulses reaches the effector. And you know what is an effector? An effector can be a muscle, an effector can be a gland. If there is a muscle, the motor impulse will tell the muscle you contract or you relax. And when there is a gland, the motor impulse will tell the gland secrete any substance. And this is how the reflex action takes place. From the sensory neurons to the spinal cord and through the motor neurons to the muscle or the gland. Let me tell you something really interesting. Only the complicated responses which require thinking involves both the brain and the spinal cord. However, the simple responses which do not require thinking are managed alone by the spinal cord. Don't you think, friends, the spinal cord is reducing the load in the brain? Had it not been for the spinal cord, the brain would have been stressed with so much of load. But the spinal cord says, hold on, my friend, I'm there for you and I will reduce your load. And hence in the reflex actions, there is no much involvement of the brain and the spinal cord acts as the coordinating center. All thanks to the spinal cord for reducing the workload on the brain. Is that the reason why we are so intelligent? So friends, even though the humans have such a complicated system of neurons, we need the reflex actions so that we can cope up with the emergency situations like the one I had in the beginning of the session. So on this note, I expect that you're crystal clear with all the concepts of reflex action and you can answer anything pertaining to this. So let's conclude the session, but before that, let us summarize important points. Reflex actions are sudden actions in response to something in the environment. These are the simplest form of response in the nervous system. Reflex actions are rapid and automatic responses to which we do not require thinking, and these actions protect ourselves. Some of the common examples of reflex actions are coughing, sneezing, running on being chased by a dog, and salivation when you see a very delicious food. During reflex action, the dendrites of sensory receptors quickly relay a message in the form of an electric impulse to the spinal cord. The spinal cord processes the information and further sends it to the effector, that is a muscle or the gland, by means of motor neurons. The complicated responses which require thinking involves both the brain and the spinal cord. However, the simple responses which do not require thinking involves only the spinal cord. So friends, we are done with this session and I hope you're crystal clear about all the concepts of reflex action, and any bouncer bowl at you, you will take the bowler to the cleaners. So very goodbye from this side and meet you in the next session. Thank you.